So Liberty Hangout posted a video with Joel Patrick educating an Obama supporter, and she definitely starts to wake up. You guys, I love these videos. We're going to be jumping in just 1 second. First, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you could please really quickly smash that like button and also hit that link down in the description below and join my locals community for behind the scenes content and more. Thank you to everybody that is over there already. So the video is called Obama Supporter Has an Awakening. As always, link to the full video will be down in the description below. Now, this first clip is going to be a little bit long, but let's let it roll. Let's jump in.
This isn't like anything, I don't want to attack anybody. I just want to know, like, what made you want to support Trump?
I think that it's more important to vote for someone because you believe in their ideology than it is because they share your skin color. For example, Obama shared my skin color, but he did not share my ideology.
What's your ideology?
I believe in small, limited government. I'm pro-life.
Can you speak up? Sorry, I can't really hear you. I really want to know.
I'm pro-life, which means that I think that killing babies is wrong. And I also believe that the best way to boost an economy is by deregulating. That means having the government remove regulations. And Obama did none of that. Obama made a ton of promises and kept none of them. America was not better off when Obama left office than it was when he entered the office.
So do you think Trump is making it better?
Under President Trump, we've seen the lowest ever African-American unemployment. We've seen the highest job creation under any president in history. We are seeing what we would expect to see from a person that is focused on business and not just, you know, what did Obama do? Obama put men in the women's bathroom, okay? Trump brought us the lowest black unemployment that America's ever seen. I think the way that America is going to be made great is by not focusing on all of these issues that are not important and focusing on issues that really matter, like the economy, like bringing jobs back to America. Because at the end of the day, if I have more money in my pocket, I can spend more money on things. Spending money into the economy helps the economy. And I think a lot of people are too focused on, okay, well, what color are they? Well, when you only focus on electing people of color, you do a disservice to Martin Luther King because he wanted people of character. He said, I want to see people judged by the content of their character. I don't want to see people judged by the color of their skin. And I feel like in America, a lot of people are still trying to judge people by the color of their skin and not giving any concern to their character.
You start quoting Martin Luther King to college students like this. It's actually a really effective communication strategy and kind of debate strategy with students like this. You know, I know a lot of people in the comments will probably just say that he was a leftist, and that's certainly true in many cases. But that argument of, hey, judging people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, right? Do not be voting for somebody because they're black. And that's one of the primary arguments for Kamala Harris right now among Gen Z voters. And although it's kind of a boomer and talkie point bringing up MLK, it's certainly effective. Let's move on.
Ilhan Omar is a perfect example. She said things like some people did something in reference to the 9/11 attacks. The worst terrorist attack in history, that should affect every American. Who cares if they're a person of color or not, whether or not they're offended by that, that should offend everyone. Because as Americans, when someone wants to come and destroy our way of life, we should oppose that. And people said, oh, we shouldn't speak out against her because she's a person of color. No, if people are not people of character, then they should be critiqued. I'm so sick of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson claiming they care so much about black people when they've been in politics for years and years and years and haven't done a thing. You know what I mean? The family members of Martin Luther King support Trump. Ben Carson supports Trump. These are people of color that are prominent. Ben Carson is a brain surgeon. And they support Trump because they see that he truly wants what's best for America. And at the end of the day, the thing that will help black people the most is by helping everyone. Because when we help everyone and we don't single us out, then we're ending segregation. Because we're still segregated if we're all the ones living in low-income housing and all the white people are living over here because we've believed the lie that we need the government to survive.
All right, so first I just got to say, I really respect this girl sitting there quietly listening to what Joel is saying. The other girl starting off a little bit more rude, interrupting him, more aggressive. This girl actually wants to listen to what Joel has to say. And what he's saying right here is completely correct. When people bring up, oh, what has he done for the black community? Sure, you can bring up certain things here and there, but what did Trump do for America? What are politicians doing for Americans in general? What helps Americans in general helps all communities. People get so caught up with just what did they do for this specific community, and it's like, okay, well, let's just look at something way more basic than that. Was your dollar getting you further then than it is today? Well, you guys, let's take a few moments to talk about my good friends over at the Wellness Company. Have you all heard about this intense wave of COVID knocking people on their butts? Well, That won't happen to me. Why? Because this year I am fully stocked with both natural and prescription solutions. No red tape, no being inconvenienced, and no racking up hospital bills. This is why I partnered with the Wellness Company, because they offer proven preventative solutions to keep you from getting the full-blown impacts of the virus with Dr. Peter McCullough's Spike Detox Trio protocol. Look, I hate getting sick. I literally start taking this every time I travel or hear about a new wave of COVID. The enzyme protocol is used globally by many doctors, and it's all natural. But if you do happen to come down hard with the virus, their Contagion Emergency Kit comes to the rescue. It's medical board approved from freedom fighting doctors who have been on the pulse of the pandemic since day one. A combo of medicines that were suppressed prior, but now the Wellness Company has made them readily available so you and your family can stay out of hospitals and urgent care. And if you use any of the meds, you can replenish them easily without having to buy a whole new kit. This is called owning your health, you guys. I highly recommend these products, and I use them myself as well as my family. To learn more, hit that link down below and use code JAMES to save 10% off on both the Spike Detox and the Contagion Kit, plus get free shipping. All right, let's get back on this video.
So how do you feel about the wall?
I think. How do you feel about locks on your doors?
She asked you a question first. and
Yeah,
you
just
answered.
can you just like answer it without
I
asking
feel like
a question?
the wall is like locks on your doors. You don't lock your doors at night because you hate everyone. You lock your doors at night because you want to protect the people within your house. And this country is our home, and we need to protect it. If you allow anyone to come across the border, and it's not just people of Hispanic descent, you've got terrorists that come across because because that's the only place that they're having. Have you seen how difficult it is to swim across frozen oceans into Canada? Can you?
Right next to us.
Yeah. So when they come here from other countries overseas to Canada to sneak into the United States, they have to go through Canada's security. Mexico is, I mean, it's not a very organized country. It's a lot easier to sneak into the United States from Mexico than it is to sneak into the United States from Canada. That's why we want to build a wall. And if you look at the human trafficking that goes across the southern border, if you look at the amount of drugs, it's a no-brainer.
It's obviously a no-brainer, but I love that question. And people ask me that all the time on the street, and they mainly just say it just to kind of deflect from the actual conversation. They say, oh, why not focus on the northern border? And it's like, well, I'm not that familiar with Canadian cartels smuggling hundreds of thousands of people across the southern border each month. But if that was the case, perhaps we would be tackling the northern border crisis as well. But it doesn't exist. There's obviously no major cartels or border crisis at the northern border. This is simply just to deflect. It's a pretty dishonest question, but you can bring it up. I mean, perhaps they don't know, and you can just answer how Joel is answering there. I mean, I don't know. You can go through the steps with people. Some people just genuinely don't know. Fine, you know, you don't need to be aggressive with it. Explain to them why it's a silly question in a nice way, but just to explain to them the reality of the border crisis and what is happening down at the southern border. Perhaps they don't know. You know, the last 3.5 years, the mainstream media has lied to the American people, saying there is no border crisis. A lot of people believe those lies. All right, next part of the conversation, talking about Barack Obama.
Probably couldn't vote at the time, but
Yeah.
if you could have voted, would you have voted for Obama?
Yeah.
And why would you have voted for him?
Well, I was younger. I was like under the influence of my mom, so I don't know. Like I was expected to, you know. So that's
Because
the thing,
what?
right?
Because you're black.
And is that what
That's
I just
exactly
said?
I'm
That's
saying.
what I just
And
told
I'm
him.
saying we should be voting with our minds and not our skin color.
I feel like it's not always that though. I feel like sometimes it's just
I mean,
you want to see somebody else like basically it also just like that reflects you personally. So like President Barack Obama, he had the same lifestyle as most black people. So and then with Donald Trump, you can't really see that because at the same time he was born different from what I was. He was raised different.
Do you think Obama had the same lifestyle as most black people in America?
Do most black people in America go to Ivy League schools?
No, I'm saying I'm saying that like upbringing. Like basically you look at his whole life and people have connections to that. Like I'm not trying to say like the Ivy League school, but people like try to live up to that. And I feel like with Donald Trump, you really can't relate to that because his lifestyle is totally different. He had a higher lifestyle really.
So why did Obama say the American dream is to be Donald Trump?
When did he say that? Can you tell me when he said that?
Yeah, I believe it was in 1988.
I'm not sure when he said it, but he did say that.
It was 1991. This is Vice. It's a liberal media. It said, young Obama said the American dream is to be Donald Trump.
Yeah, he kind of said that. I don't know if he didn't say exactly that, but he did say in one of his papers or something that basically using Donald Trump as that goal of success. So he essentially said that. He didn't say it word for word. But what I find is funny about this is, I mean, the real answer is, okay, well, Barack Obama was black, right? Because the overwhelming majority of black Americans don't relate to this political elite figure. However, a lot of black Americans actually do, specifically young black men, do relate to Donald Trump, not for the billionaire status necessarily, but his entrepreneurial spirit. That's why he is pretty popular among the black community for a Republican president. All right, so there's a whole police shooting segment in this video. We're going to go ahead and skip that and jump straight to white supremacy.
So how do you feel about white supremacy because of that Trayvon Martin case?
How do I feel about white supremacy?
Do you think it is a thing?
Absolutely, it's a thing. Do I think it's a major issue facing America today? No.
Do you think it...
Do you?
Do you think it applied to the Trayvon Martin case?
No. That guy was a Mexican. Let me ask you
Is
something.
she laughing?
Do you know a Klan member?
Do I know one? No, they're hidden.
Do you know any black people that hate white people?
Yeah.
So tell me, which is the bigger issue? Racism in general or just white supremacy?
I feel like white supremacy.
Is a bigger issue than racism in general?
Yeah.
Even though you admitted to not knowing a Klan member, but you know black people that hate white
Just
people.
because I don't know a Klan member doesn't mean I don't know someone who doesn't like black people.
Caitlin, do you know any Klan members?
I do not.
You can be a racist. I could be a racist, right? And I couldn't be a white supremacist. I'm black. But I could be a racist. Does that make sense?
No, because you're comparing.
So let me ask you, is it possible for black people to be racist against a white person?
You know, white person hates black people.
You said what?
It's the same thing as
Is it
saying
possible for a black person to be racist against a white person?
Yeah. If I hated white people, I would have attacked you. If I hated white people, I wouldn't be around her. I wouldn't want to be around him right now. I'm smiling because what I say, most of the black community doesn't agree with me. That's why.
I would
Okay.
agree with her.
Okay.
On that. And, yeah.
Oof. I mean, right there, just admitting to how rampant racism is within her own life, certainly. But the fact that, okay, so white supremacy is the greatest issue, right? It's a way bigger problem, and you can't name, forget a Klan member, you can't name a literal white supremacist, maybe a Nazi in your own life that you can just kind of point to and say, yep, that's absolutely the case. It's a way bigger problem. So you can't point to that, but you can say that everyone in your life is criticizing you for having white friends. Just think about what you're saying right here. She's literally arguing against herself right here, except for she doesn't know it because she's been so conditioned, let's say through her college education or whatever it may be, telling her that white supremacy is the greatest threat in the United States. She hears it from the media. She hears it from the President of the United States. She hears it from her social media that she's following, accounts that she's following on social media. She hears it everywhere. Except for her in her own life, that's not the reality. If that gets pointed out to her, perhaps she can start to put two and two together and say, oh, you know what? Maybe what I'm saying is not correct. Let's move on.
I feel like with black people, they like to live in the
past.
Yeah, I'm not wording it right, but it's like, oh, because of slavery, blah, 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 to white people. And I don't think that they should keep doing that if they want to, move forward, So I don't agree with the whole paying reparations.
Because it's hard to move forward if you're looking behind
they
you.
weren't the ones that were like, oh, I'm going to lynch this kid for no reason. They're just like the grandchildren of them, great-grandchildren. They don't have anything. Especially if they aren't racist, they don't agree with their old, opinions and their beliefs and stuff. I don't think they should have to pay for their mistakes.
You guys, there is hope for this young lady right here. And you'll notice that her friend that was being rude and kind of interrupting the beginning of the conversation is out of the picture, right? This girl is here having an actual good conversation. They're listening to each other. They're picking each other's kind of brain. And she is saying that right here, she is against reparations. So not only does she have white friends that maybe her friends and family don't approve of, which is obviously crazy, but she also is against reparations. At that point, you're completely out of the leftist cult. This is what's so important about conversations like this. If everyone's being respectful, if you're allowing each other to kind of get your 2 cents in, it allows people to actually think about stuff instead of being aggressive, argumentative, and just focused on winning. They're focused on having a real conversation here. Like I said, these positions push her out of the leftist cult. And at this point, there is hope for somebody like this. There's no room over there for people that are beginning to think freely. So this is what's really interesting, because they go back to the wall conversation, and this girl just wrote a research paper on the wall, and doing this research has also got her to kind of engage in critical thinking. Check this out.
I just did my research paper on the wall because I'm anti-Trump.
Yeah.
But
Which is fine, and we believe
yeah,
that that's your
I'm
right.
like 100% against him. But like after I finished, I kind of like agreed with some beliefs, some of his beliefs for the wall, and like what is it, the 4-pillar plan? Like that makes sense to me, and I hated to say it, but
How
I
about
guess,
cutting human trafficking in the United States in half? Is that worth building a wall?
Yeah.
All those women and children that are crossing the borders, some of which people were making a big deal about being in cages, those weren't even their parents. They were using family units to traffic children. They were using fake families to sneak children across the border.
I know there are like really bad gangs down there, like the MS-13. That like, one of the I guess testimonies that I read about, she was saying that this man would have murdered her whole family if she didn't date him, so she had to leave. And like they're that violent, and the women and like the little girls are targeted the most there because they're like I guess seen as weaker, and that made sense to me. But yeah, I hated to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hated to say that. I hated to agree with Donald Trump on something so massive as the horrific reality of the border crisis and what's really going on down there. I mean, she's just describing something so, I mean, the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the violence that's happening with these drug cartels down at the southern border. Keep in mind, every single person that's coming over the southern border, they're paying a fee to these cartels. So these cartels are they're having the biggest years they've ever had. They're richer than their wildest dreams. And we're talking about human smuggling here. We're not even talking about drug trafficking. You know, something interesting also, you heard Joel bring up the kids in cages. I am hearing a lot more of that on the street, but I'm mainly hearing the separating children from the adults. And it's this weird argument that the left has right now. They totally memory hole basically every detail around that. Like the separation, this was not a Trump era policy. He actually ended it by executive action in 2018, but all those details don't matter. People remember, oh, well, they were separating children. And it's the weirdest argument, because I guess the counter argument to that is, no, children should go to jail with the adults, even though we don't know if the adults are actually their parents. It's the weirdest argument. But I'm hearing a lot more of that on the street, even though people have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. The truth around this entire debate is a lot of these leftists do not care about the border crisis at all. They don't care about enriching cartels. They don't care about all the deaths at the southern border. They don't care about people, us making it easier on the drug cartels, getting drugs over the southern border. They don't care about bringing in gang members, cartel members, terrorists. They don't care about any of that stuff. They'll just bring up random arguments to kind of deflect from the reality of the situation, that the border crisis right now is about 8 times, 10 times worse than it was under Donald Trump and Barack Obama. And if you know the reality of the border crisis and the death and destruction that surrounds it, and you understand that they don't care about this stuff because they're just simply importing voters, and that's the only incentive to bring in this many people, the conversation gets incredibly dark. She hasn't figured that out yet, but she has done enough research to understand the disgusting realities of the border crisis. Anyways, that's where they wrap up the conversation. There's a nice little kind of goodbye at the end right here. We'll check this out.
I think this was a good conversation. I'm glad we came over
We
here.
appreciate you being polite, being respectful, and then voicing your opinion. It's not
Yeah.
easy to do.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared to voice your opinion.
I think she did a wonderful job, and there was certainly hope for a girl like this. I mean, she's willing to acknowledge that, hey, she agrees with Donald Trump on something. Again, like I said earlier, that's enough to kick you out of the club, right? The leftist club on college campus, that is more than enough to kick you out of the club. So keep thinking freely, and you'll start to understand a lot of these situations. There is certainly hope for that young lady right there. You guys, let me know what you think about this video. I think Joel and Caitlin did a fantastic job with this interview and posting this up just to show people a nice, polite conversation around just various topics. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed my commentary, please make sure to smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. And I'll catch you all in the next video.